Alright, boys and girls, let's begin our reading lesson. So today we're going to listen to how Mary found her big fossil. Then we're going to write and retell the beginning and middle of Stone Girl, Bone Girl. Alright, so real quick before we start, I want you to turn to your partner and I want you to retell your partner what happened at the beginning of Stone Girl, Bone Girl. Alright, I'm going to give you a couple minutes to do that and then we're going to come back together as a group and talk about it. Alright, turn to your partner and tell them what happened at the beginning of Stone Girl, Bone Girl. Go.
At the beginning of the story, Mary and was before and she asked that she was a little baby with a teacher Pepper's face.
Just tell them the beginning right now, then we're going to talk about the beginning, then we'll do the middle.
What happened again in the story?
Alright, boys and girls, my turn.
Your turn.
Alright, somebody raise your hand and tell me, what did your partner tell you happened at the beginning of the story? Not what you told your partner, what did your partner tell you? I want to see if you were listening carefully of what your partner said. Alright, Ava, tell us what your partner said that happened at the beginning of the story.
My partner said Mary got struck by lightning and she passed out.
Okay. What else happened at the beginning of the story? Leilani?
Mary Annie got struck by lightning. Pepperhead came and picked her up, and Mary Annie had touched Pepper's face, and she was fully awake.
Okay. Good. Now, we're going to do the same thing, but this time you're going to tell your partner what happened in the middle of the story. So think for a second. What happened in the middle of Stone Girl, Bone Girl? Alright, go ahead and tell your partner what happened in the middle, and then we'll come back together and discuss the middle. Go. Alright, you start us off, Vegas. Tell your group what happened in the middle.
Okay, what happened in the middle? I'll go first this time, but you go first last.
Okay, that's fine.
It happened in the middle, and the Philip ladies came to ask Pepper for justifying fossils or the curiosities, and so they could put their curiosities in there. And we're going to talk about fossil and had tea. Okay, so they can put their curiosity or fossils in them so they can store them.
Alright, my turn.
Your turn.
Let's try that again. My turn.
Your turn.
Thank you, much better. Alright, somebody raise your hand and tell me, what did you tell your partner? Alright, Cash, what did you tell your partner happened in the middle of Stone Girl, Bone Girl?
So I told my partner that 3 boys were calling Mary Annie names. Then she ignored them, and then Pepper had got his hammer and started hitting on a rock, then picked up a stone, put it on a string, and gave it to Mary as a necklace.
Okay, good. Talia, do you want to add something else to what happened at the middle of our story?
Yes. The middle of the story was about some rich ladies came into Pepper's shop and they told Mary Annie to make her a glass cabinet, and Pepper did it, and the rich ladies told Mary Annie to come to their house and have some tea and talk more about fossils, and Mary Annie showed them her fossils.
Okay, good. Anything else you want to add, Katie?
She had set of fossils, but nobody came. Until two people came, and nobody seen her. They didn't think that was her that made it. The lady had asked who made this and didn't see Mary Annie right there, seeing her happy face.
Okay, good. So right there, y'all just retold me what happened in the beginning and middle of our story. So we're going to talk more about that today of what's going on. Alright, so we just did this. We just went with our partners and we talked about what happened at the beginning of our story. Then we talked about it as a whole group. We talked about what happened in the middle. Alright, so our learning target for today is I can answer questions about key details from the book Stone Girl, Bone Girl. Read your learning target for me today, class.
I can answer questions about key details from the book Stone Girl, Bone Girl.
Good. So today we're going to finish reading the rest of Stone Girl, Bone Girl, and then you're going to go back in your story and you're going to find those key details to help you answer questions that I'm going to be asking you, as well as answering your questions in your workbook today. Alright, so I'm going to go ahead and pass out your books, and we are going to begin reading the last few pages of Stone Bone Girl. You too. Katie, consider Kirby. Let me see your book real quick. Alright, boys and girls, go ahead and open to page 19. Should look something like this of Mary Annie climbing up the cliffside. Alright, I'm going to come walk around real quick and make sure everybody's on the right page. Alright, Sade's group is there. Christopher's group is there. Katie's group is there. Leilani's group is there. Alright, good. All groups are there. I want you to follow along, boys and girls, as I read pages 19 to 23. Listen to the text closely as I'm reading because I'm going to be asking you some questions. Look closely at the pictures as well. Follow along. One morning, Mary was so busy daydreaming, she didn't notice that her dog had wandered away. She ran along the beach, calling for him, but he was nowhere to be seen. At last, she heard a faint barking, and looking up, she saw the speckled dog high on the sloping side of the hill. Mary called for him to come down, but the little dog wouldn't move. He was furiously scratching at something in the clay. Mary had no choice. She began slowly to climb the rock face. At last, she reached the little edge where the dog was standing. Her heart missed a beat. She couldn't believe what she saw. Grinning up at Mary was an enormous skull. The little dog had found the sea monster. All morning, Mary scraped furiously with Pepper's hammer. There was more than half a skull, a whole skeleton perhaps. But it was too big for Mary to cope with on her own. Who could help her? Suddenly, she remembered Pepper's old friends, the Quarrymen. Leaving the little dog to guard the monster, Mary Anning climbed carefully down to the beach, then ran as fast as she could to the quarry. "I found it!" she shouted. "I found the sea monster!" In less than 10 minutes, Mary was leading a group of quarrymen carrying picks and shovels up the side of the cliff. Turn your page. Follow along. The news spread like fire through the town. "Mary Anning has found the sea monster! Mary Anning has found it!" An exciting crowd gathered on the beach to watch the scavenger. The Mrs. Phillips arrived in their fine clothes and made a tremendous fuss of Mary. Even the children who had teased her came to watch, but they weren't laughing now. As the evening sun melted into the sea, a strange procession made its way back to the town. A small girl covered in mud led the crowd at the back. 6 strong quarrymen carefully carried the bones of a real sea monster, as long as a tree and more than 165 million years old. So that sea monster that she found is pretty old.
Yeah, that was like thousands of years.
Right, turn your page. The skeleton was laid out on the floor of Pepper's workshop for all the world to see. For months afterwards, visitors came to meet the fossil girl of Limridge. Famous scientists came in carriages from London and even the King of Saxon. It was the most important fossil ever found, they said. They called the monster Ichthyosaurus, meaning the fish lizard. The museum that bought it paid enough money for Mary and her mother to live happily for the rest of their lives. But the strange thing was, the little speckled dog had gone, as if he had done his work and drifted away. Sometimes Mary imagined she could hear a faint barking from far away in the sea mist. Then Mary Anning would smile and touch the little snake stones around her necklace and step back into the warm workshop where the shelves were filled with treasures from the dark and dangerous rocks. Mary Anning was born in 1799 and lived all her life in Limridge in Dorset. At 15 months, she survived the lightning stroke which killed her nurse and 2 other girls. Mary was always stubbornly independent, and she became a well-known local character, hunting for fossils, accompanied by her little dog. At the time, this was an extraordinary accompaniment for a girl. The great Ichthyosaurus, which was discovered at the age of 12, was only the first of Mary's many findings, which played an important part in the new science of evolution. Eventually leading to Darwin's Origin of Species, she later uncovered Paleosaurus, Petrosaurus, several other Ichthysauruses, and hundreds of other fossils which can still be seen in museums around the world. Limridge continues to attract fossil hunters, and children still chant the old tongue twister about Mary Anning, the fossil girl of Limridge. She sells seashells on the seashore. The shells that she sells are the seashells, I'm sure. So if she sells seashells on the seashore, I'm sure that the shells are seashore shells.
Cameron, I like that joke.
You remember that part?
Yeah, we had to say that, but it was so tricky.
Yes, that is a tricky part because it's a tongue twister because they all with all the S's. Good.
What is a tongue twister?
All right. So let's see who was paying attention when I was reading. Okay. So, what did Mary do when she heard her dog barking? All right, Sade, what did she do when she heard her dog barking?
To go find her dog.
Okay, she went find her dog. Who remembers where her dog was, or where did she find her dog? Christopher? Think about where she was when she heard her dog barking. Good. The dog was on the cliff. So what did she have to do in order to get to her dog? Vegas?
Climb it.
She had to climb the cliff edge to get to her dog. Was it safe for her to do that?
No.
No. So she had to be extra careful when climbing. I want you to go back and find the page where it said, her heart skipped a beat. Her heart missed a beat. It's going to be in one of the pages we just read. What page is it on, Ava?
It's on the page where she finds the sea monster.
Okay, correct. So I want everybody to turn back to the page where she was looking for her dog. I want you to go back on this page, and I want you to find the part where I read where it said, her heart missed a beat. And I want you to read that sentence to yourself. Find the sentence where it says, her heart missed a beat. Read the sentence before and after that sentence. All right, somebody raise your hand and tell me, what does that mean? Her heart missed a beat. Based off of what you read, what does it mean, or what did the story help us to tell what it means that her heart missed a beat? Ava?
That she got scared.
Okay. So maybe she got scared.
Just got, and her heart stopped beating for a second.
Okay, so maybe she got a little scared and her heart maybe stopped for a second. Why else might her heart have skipped a beat? Vegas?
Or maybe she was nervous and her heart was beating really fast.
Okay, so maybe she was a little bit nervous as well and her heart was beating really fast. One more. Katie, what do you think that means?
She might be afraid of her dog might fall off the cliff and her dog might have to go to the hospital and get some stitches.
Okay, so maybe she's scared that her dog is going to fall off the cliff's edge and hurt himself. Good. So these are all great examples, boys and girls, of what it means that her heart missed a beat. All right. So we read about a challenge that Mary Ann was facing just now. I want you to go back in your story on the pages we just read. And I want you to find what was the challenge that Mary Ann was facing just now. Go back and use your text to find details of what that challenge was. Use your pictures. I want you to go back in the pages we just read. Only those 3 or 4 pages that we just read. Go back and look at your text and your pictures and see what might have been a challenge or something that was challenging for Mary Ann to do. All right, boys and girls, somebody raise your hand and tell me, what was the challenge that Mary Ann was facing in this part of the book? Just the part we read, not the part we read the other day, just today. Cash.
To find out how to get the big sea monster out of the cliff.
Okay, now why might that be a challenge for her, Cash?
Because the skeleton was too big for her to get out by herself.
Correct. So that was a kind of a challenge for Mary Ann. She's a small girl, and this sea monster she found is ginormous. It's massive. It's bigger than her. So that was a challenge for her to figure out how she was going to dig this big sea monster out and get it down back to her father's shop. So how did Mary Ann respond to this challenge? What did she have to do? Ava?
She tried to hammer out the ground, but she couldn't. And she remembered her dad friend, Pepper friend, the quarryman, and she ran for help. And she was leading a lot of quarrymen up the side of the cliff.
Correct. So again, she's a small girl, and she's trying to dig out this big sea monster. She couldn't do it by herself. So she remembered Pepper's friend, the quarryman. So she carefully climbed down that mountain cliff and she went to get the quarryman to help her dig out this sea monster and carry it back to town. Alright, so now what we're going to do is, now that we read the end of our book, I'm going to let you get with your partners again And this time, you are going to retell your partners what happened at the end of the story now. So we just read the last bit of the book, Stone Girl, Bone Girl. Now I want you to pair up with your partner again, your same partner that you're sitting with or by, and I want you to retell what happened at the end. Remember to stay in order. Tell me what happened first, then what happened next, and then what happened at the end. Keep it in a specific order, in sequence. All right? Go ahead and tell your partners what happened at the end. Go. What else is going on? I see the dogs living here. I see the what happened on this page? And then you go to the next page. I want you to tell me what's going on this page. My turn, boys and girls. Okay. Let me explain that a little bit better by what I mean by telling it in order of what is happening. Okay? So we read the end of the story today. So what I mean by telling what happened first, what happened second, and what happened last is take it page by page that we read. So go back to the first page that we read today and retell your partner what is going on that page. After you tell your partner what's going on that page, then turn to the next page that we read. And then switch. Your other partner tells you what's going on this page. Once you've retold that page, flip to the last page and talk about what happened there. That's what I mean by tell what happened first, next, and last, based on what we read. Okay? So try to do it that way. I'll give you a couple more minutes. Go.
People over to the cinema appeared. And people begged the tools and bring out the cave ever. He was gathered to see the sea monster.
Okay. At the end, she found the sea monster and she ran to the aquarium to try to tell her they found the sea monster, and then they helped her get out the cliff. Thank you.
I need to read it. It's what happened. Miss Lindsay read it to us already.
Look at the picture. Tell me what's going on in the picture right here.
Said that she wanted someone to help her mom and her to get some food to
Good.
to them.
So now go to the last page.
Now you have to turn it on here.
And then Jordan, you tell them what happened at the end right there.
You turn it on here. Turn it on here.
We can stop talking because we already talked about it. I'm just putting
Just hold on to your book. I'm going to let the last two groups finish up. And then we're going to talk about it. Alright, boys and girls, my turn. Good. So as I was walking around, I was listening to some pretty great things. I think that made a little bit more sense to tell y'all to tell what happened page by page in order for you to focus on what happened. All right. So So now we're going to do a little bit of writing, some writing by ourselves today. It's not hard. It's just a couple questions that I'm going to have you answer in your workbook based off of what we just read. Alright, so I'm going to read a certain page from our book. You have to listen carefully because what I'm going to read is going to help you to answer your question, okay? So I want you to turn back to that first page that we read today. The one where Mary Anning and the speckled dog are climbing on the cliffside. I'm going to read this page to you carefully. So turn on your listening ears, turn up as loud as they can go to make sure you're ready. All right, listen one more time to this page, and then we're going to answer a question on it. One morning, Mary was so busy daydreaming, she didn't notice that her dog had wandered away. She ran along the beach, calling for him, but he was nowhere to be seen. At last, she heard a faint barking, and looking up, she saw the speckled dog high on the sloping side of the cliff. Mary called for him to come down, but the little dog wouldn't move. He was furiously scratching at something in the clay. Mary had no choice. She began slowly to climb the rock face. At last, she reached the little ledge where the dog was standing. Her heart missed a beat. She couldn't believe what she saw. Grinning up at Mary was an enormous skull. The little dog had found the sea monster all morning. Mary scraped furiously with Pepper's hammer. There was more than a skull, a whole skeleton perhaps, but it was far too big for Mary to cope with on her own. Who could help her? Suddenly she remembered Pepper's old friends, the quarrymen. Leaving the little dog to guard the monster, Mary Anning climbed carefully down to the beach, then ran as fast as she could to the quarry. I found it, she shouted. I found the sea monster. In less than 10 minutes, Mary was leading a group of quarrymen carrying picks and shovels up the side of the cliff. All right? So I want you to go ahead and take out your workbook and turn to page 73. 73. 73. Quick. You're going to have to turn your book sideways in order to be able to answer this question. Alright? So the question it is asking you to answer is, how did Mary use a habit of character to respond to the challenge of getting the fossil out? So what that means is, what did Mary do, or how did she respond to getting this fossil out? What did the page we just read tell us that Mary Anning did? I want you to go ahead and write your answer. Yes, ma'am. You can stay with your partner right there. Go ahead and answer this question.
Listen to your teacher makes me the fossil out. To get Pepper friends, to help get the simas out. We got to get them Here, it's on this side so we can see. We can put it right there. So we can see both the words.
So, how did Mary use a habit of strength to respond to the challenge of getting the doll, the fossil
Yes,
out?
Jaden.
She threw up blood. She got
So what'd you say?
Pepper Friends.
the aquarium. Pepper Friends aquarium. That both of these, Mom.
She got
We can wait to we got the aquarium.
That Pepper Friends.
The Pepper Friends.
She got
Pepper.
Pepper. Pepper.
I should know Pepper. Oh, I can't see.
You have about 1 more minute, boys and girls.
The Pepper. The Pepper Friends.
Pepper and they helped her.
Help.
Pepper.
Help.
Where's your finger spaces at?
Get.
What do you think comes next time?
To
No, keep it. Just do it next time.
help
See.
help her
Mom. So.
get the monster.
See this.
Help her get the sea monster. These are supposed to be two.
See. Monster out. Hey.
Alright, boys and girls, my turn.
Your turn.
Let's try that again. My turn. Thank you. Alright, so somebody raise your hand and tell me, how did Mary Anning use her character to respond to getting the fossil out? Sade?
Someone at the door.
I can wait a minute. Ava?
She got Pepper Friends to help her get the sea monster out the clay.
Good. So Mary's character habit was that she automatically knew that she could not do this by herself. So she had to get help from the quarrymen to help her get it out. Good job. So you should have said something along those lines about the quarrymen coming to help her. Alright, boys and girls, let's look at our second learning target for today. I can retell the story of Stone Girl, Bone Girl using important details about events and characters. Read me your learning target for today, boys and girls.
I can retell the story of Stone Girl, Bone Girl, using important details about events and characters.
Good. So what this learning target means, boys and girls, is that again, we can go back into our story and use the details from the text and the pictures to tell us about the events that are going on in the story as well as what the characters are doing. Alright, boys and girls, let's wrap up our lesson real quick.
Yes, ma'am.
Alright, so how do the characters respond to major events in the story? So think about our characters in Stone Girl, Bone Girl that we read. How did that character respond to a major event?
friends, the Aquarium, then she called them to get the sea monster out of the clay.
Who is she?
Mary Annie.
Okay. Now, retell me that sentence again, answering that question.
Okay, so Mary Annie went to go get the Aquarium to get the fossils out the clay.
Correct. Good job. So, Mary Anning's response, meaning how she answered to the event going on in the story, was that she couldn't take that sea monster out of the side of the cliff by herself, so she had to go get some help. And the help that she got was Pepper's friends, the Quarrymen. Alright, boys and girls, that is it for our science lesson. You can go, reading lesson. Sorry. Alright, you can go ahead and put your workbooks away quietly, please.